Hello. Okay, I only have a couple minutes, but couple things. One is some of y'all have been asking for resources. So like, how do I identify if I am getting drawn into a management company that isn't legit? Or what are the warning signs of this? Hold on a second. What is with this filter? Let me turn my light on. Okay. Whew. Sorry. It was the filter. It was the light. Okay. So some of you guys have asked about what can you do if, what are the warning signs of a management company that is maybe not the best? So what I did was I posted the management ethics, code of ethics from the Screen Actors Guild. So you don't have to be a talent manager that is franchised through SAG, but I felt like their code of ethics is by far the most comprehensive and should give you an understanding of, really the difference between someone that is actually, the difference between what is a legitimate management company and then one that would not be legitimate. So one would be that a manager should never, ever, ever be using your stuff for their own personal gain. So they should not be dictating who you work for your photographers, for your videographers, for your makeup artists, your collaborations. They shouldn't be dictating anything that they're going to get personally, financially incentivized to do. So if they are, say, tied to a videographer, and that videographer also is making money off of them, by them having you work with them, that would be considered predatory, and that would be considering them putting their financial interests ahead of yours. So managers are always supposed to avoid a conflict of interest like that so that your interests do not supersede theirs. Another thing that they should not be doing is putting you into oppressive... Sorry, it's a filter. I'm really washed out, you guys. I can't... All right, I'm going to turn off comments. I am pale. Trust me. I have COVID. I'm sorry, you guys. So I was posting stuff about what you can do to their code of ethics. I think is a really good place to start. Outside of the financial parts that I thought were really beneficial were that there is making sure that they never encourage someone to resign from the union, that they guard against all potential conflicts of interest, that their money does not intermingle with your money, that they do not have access to your bank accounts, that if they are getting paid for you, that they are putting everything in a trust, and that they are not touching your money. So their money should not be commingling with yours, and outside of their management fee they get from you, they should not be playing and using your money for their own gain. Also, they should always deliver you the money in a timely fashion and not take advantage of that. And then there's one other thing I wanted to show you. And that is that you should be free from discrimination. You shouldn't have to be dealing with any sort of discrimination related to your age, disability, your age, your ethnicity, your race. And on top of all of that, obviously no sexual harassment. And obviously we want to make sure that there is no oppressive contracts. So not controlling you for more than 18 months at a time, taking a fair percentage, not a high rate percentage, and overall making sure that you are not working with one team. So the Screen Actors Guild really, really, really implores on talent and anyone that's in the industry, whether you're with SAG or not, that you not have an agent that is also serving as a manager, and that you also not have that all of it's separate. So if you have a CPA, make sure your CPA who's doing your accounting is not your manager. Have an attorney who is not your manager. Make sure that your agent is not your manager. Managers in California are technically not supposed to book jobs. And if you are using an agent, make sure you use one that has licensing through the state of California and carries insurance. And for film production, this is key. This is something that I'm not quite sure if this is even, I haven't been able to confirm this yet, but film production companies in the state of California, no matter where they film, whether they film in a private property or they film in the public, if they are making and deriving the bulk of their income off of filming and off the content that they create through their filming, they must be permitted. They have to have a permit through Film LA. They also have to carry insurance. So they have to carry workers' comp and I think liability. And then they also have to have some other form of insurance. And so filming production isn't just that somebody carries a videography thing. They literally have to have all of their ducks in a row. And permits through this Film LA are only good for a couple weeks at a time. So, and I'm not lying here. If you're going to go film on Santa Monica Pier or Santa Monica Boulevard or at the beach at Santa Monica, you have to have a permit regardless. If you are going there for commercial reasons and you're going to put that on and you're to put it on your social media, you need to have a permit. So this goes to any influencer, whether you are a small time production or a big one, you need to have proper permitting when you are doing anything in LA. So LA has very strict guidelines, and this is again to ensure safety. There's nothing worse than if you are on a production set and your production company doesn't have liability insurance or workman's comp. If your production company is filming something and you get hurt and there's no insurance and you're out of work, there's nothing to protect your salary while you're injured. So that's why you need to work with like properly licensed, bonded, insured agents, production companies, all of it. Okay? So on top of that, I wanted to provide you guys some information on human trafficking. Obviously, I can't say yay or nay what's happening with human trafficking, but what I can say is that you should always be able to learn the warning signs. And one of the big issues with human trafficking is that you're being controlled. And you might not have your ID, your password. You might not be able to speak for yourself. You might be able to be refused to make eye contact with people. They might have little personal property. They might be paid mostly in cash, or not in control of their money or their financial records or their bank accounts. So debt bondage is one of the more common forms of human trafficking that can happen in the entertainment industry. And so it's hard to think about human trafficking when you talk about the entertainment industry, because you just assume that because you see someone on TikTok or on Facebook or Instagram or on TV that they must be paid and being successful, and but the fact of the matter is that debt bondage is a huge part of human trafficking in the entertainment industry and in the sex trafficking industry. So debt bondage is when somebody claiming to be like your manager or someone who is working for you charges you for everything. So they might be charging you for your rent, for housing, for clothing. You might have to pay expenses to them for managing you. They're gonna find a way that no matter what you make, you owe them more. And so even if you make 100,000, they're gonna say you owe me 120. And so it can look like you're making a shit ton of money, but they're telling you, well, no, I spent way more than you made. Debt bondage is one of the most common forms of human trafficking that happens. It's everywhere. It's also very, very common in the sex trafficking industry. So think of it in the massage parlors. And I'll just use this as an example because I live in Minnesota, and we have a huge problem with sex trafficking from certain parts of Asia. And it's very sad, but what these parlor owners do is they bring someone over from a foreign country. They promise them a green card, and then they take their ID. And once they get there, they are bound to that person. They say, you owe me money for your trip here. You owe me money for the rent. You owe me money for your food. And you're just going to go and you're going to work and you're going to have sex, and that's it. So it's kind of like that in the fact that with entertainment, you're getting a promise of, I'm going to make you rich, I'm going to make you famous, and then suddenly, they're controlling every single thing that you do. So I'm not speaking about any one person or any one group in general. I'm just saying, like, these are common problems in human trafficking. And unfortunately, human trafficking in churches is not uncommon. We've seen, reports like that through Hillsong and through other huge organizations like that. They also could be fearful, anxious, depressed, submissive, tense, nervous, and paranoid. They could be appearing to look like they're under the influence, overly attached to one person, or they could have like a trauma bond it's like Stockholm syndrome, where they're being abused by someone, but they are so attached to that person and overly dependent of them. And then they need permission or direction to make any simple decisions, such as going to the bathroom. So obeying, submitting, not being able to make daily decisions in your life, all of these are sort of red flags for someone trying to take control of your life, and it puts you in a very ripe situation to be taken advantage of. So biggest thing I would say is, if you're a parent and you have a kid and they're going to go to Hollywood, you got to make sure that they know the warning signs of anybody that's making big promises and not like, if they're promising you money and fame and all you have to do is follow me and I'll give you everything, it's usually not, it's usually too good to be true. So with that said, with all of that information out, I have posted all of that on my Instagram. And regardless of what is said about me, what other YouTubers say about me, what other people think about me, I don't care about any of that, because all of that is just nonsense. The fact of the matter is that I got a message that New York Magazine is about to go to press with a story on the situation. So I didn't actually speak to the reporter at New York Magazine, but I know for a fact that she's been working on it for over a month, which tells me that whatever is going to be coming out from New York Magazine is going to be very extensive. New York Magazine I think Ronan, he broke the Harvey Weinstein story over on New York Magazine. So you have to remember that it's a monthly magazine, but it's one of the largest magazines in the country. And they're known for their very hard-hitting pieces. And they actually broke the story about the Sarah Lawrence cult leader who was recently just convicted. So if you have followed that story, I don't, but I'm actually a paid subscriber of New York Magazine because I love their content. And I collaborated with them on an article a couple years ago, and I just really loved their reporters. Their journalists are just phenomenal. So support them. They're amazing, hard, investigative reporters. Okay, so New York Magazine's going to press soon, and I found out that a correspondent of CBS is following me. I had no idea. I haven't spoken to them, but I also know that CBS is now also working on bringing this to the news. So I don't know if that means they're going to do 48 hours, if they're going to do just a clip on the news, but their correspondents are now looking at this from a deeper dive investigation on CBS. So, and that is on top of the fact that I know at least one network is making a docu-series on this now, and I'm not involved in them. So like, I'm staying out of a lot of this stuff. So, you know, they can point fingers at me all the day they want, but when you have all these huge outlets all doing the same research and we're all finding the same information, that should tell you something about the situation. It's not that I'm the bad person and I'm the one that's putting out the bad information. It's that the information is what it is, and all I can do is provide it to you. You do what you want with that information, but I can't change the information that I receive. And if it's verified and it's corroborated by multiple people, like, you can't ignore that. And I'm assuming that's what's going to come out by these larger audiences and these larger outlets. So that is my thing. So I apologize if I'm not going to be at all remotely interested in even talking about what's happening to me, because what happens to me is it's not even a thing. I don't even care. When this goes wider, I'm going to be the least of anyone's concerns. Way more. I would say I would be really worried with it going to a national level like that if I were anyone involved in that situation. Anytime you get like local, like huge media involved in stuff like that, that's like the stuff that the FBI and the IRS just won't ignore. Just to give you an understanding of like a case that I follow, for instance, one of the reasons why Todd Chrisley was indicted and they actually found out about his alleged crimes, I should say, is because he was on an interview. I don't know whether it was like on Entertainment Tonight or it was with some entertainment outlet. And he said, I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of eyebrows. Like, these are the worst I can do. I have 0 eyebrows. I don't pluck, Shanna. God, you're a dumbo. It's the lighting too. Like, I literally just don't have a lot of eyebrows. And they're very, very light. Okay. And if that's why you're in my, like, if you're literally going to say, like, my eyebrows are the worst, like, okay, whatever. So stupid. Okay, now I totally forgot. So Todd Chrisley. Todd Chrisley was on like Entertainment Tonight or something, and he said, you know, like, I pay $1 million in taxes a year or something like that, or $750,000 in taxes a year. He made some comment like that, and the freaking FBI heard that, and so did the IRS, and he had a huge tax lien, that he had not paid out. So when he made the statement that I make these huge I pay the IRS so much money and I make the government all this money, the government was like, and that's kind of in many ways what catapulted the investigation against Todd Chrisley. And he was indicted in 2019, and he was a superseding indictment last month, and he is now facing he's part of a 12-count indictment, and he's facing 30 years in prison for what the government alleges is a Ponzi scheme that involved defrauding of over 21 banks, tax evasion, conspiracy to defraud the United States government, and among other things, which they have pled not guilty to, but their trial starts on May 16th. So that's what I'm saying about how stories, when they hit the news, can catapult investigations. Another investigation that was catapulted because of a story that broke by the New York Times was NXIVM. So Sarah Edmonds went public about being branded by Keith Raniere and Allison Mack. And once that story went to the New York Times and it was all over the media, the FBI took this situation a hell of a lot more seriously. And he was charged with human trafficking, sex trafficking, forced labor, and a variety of sex crimes. So you just have to remember, why would you, oh God, you guys are, public pressure can certainly work is what I'm saying. So if I were someone that was involved in this kind of stuff, I would be the least of my concerns. It was a Sarah Lawrence cult something or other. But I gotta go now. Okay, my son's gotta go to bed, and I've got nothing left to share. So, bye guys.